So you're thinking of moving to Naples, Florida, or maybe you've just been reading the headlines in the news lately about the housing market and you're interested in what it's doing right now. In this video, we're going to take you through some statistics for the month of June 2022 that just came out this morning, and we're going to get into it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to learn about living in Naples, Florida, or the surrounding area, you'll want to subscribe and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know what the market's doing in Southwest Florida. My name is Kristen Van Hookelen with Team 239 in Southwest Florida, and we get calls and texts and emails from people just like you every day looking to make a move, looking to know what the market is doing, and we are so happy to help them make a smooth move to Southwest Florida or get educated about what the market is doing. So let's get into it. We're going to go through a lot of statistics, so hang in there. So unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard some headlines or heard talking heads in the news talking about the housing market, a potential bubble, what is happening with the housing market. So a quick Google search shows you what would cause the housing market to crash. Southern California home prices will fall, some experts say. The housing market hits the brakes. And a lot of chatter about mortgage interest rates and what effect that has on our market. So we're going to cover that right now. So this here is called InfoSparks. This is where I get real-time data so that I can say intelligently what is happening in our market. So let's look at those pending home sales. So if we come down to the bottom, there's lots of markers that we can use to measure data. We're going to look at pending sales. So you can see that number is way down in June. It's 234. So are pending home sales down? Yes. But if we look at that year over year, we're looking at 3 years now, going from 2019, but let's actually switch that to 5 years. So historically, June sales do go down, or closings are down, and pending sales are down in the month of June. So here we are, 234 for June 2022, and I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to go Naples here. So now we have two different markers. The orange is going to be Naples, and the blue is going to be Bonita Springs. We'll add Cape Coral in there. Fort Myers. Great. And Cape Coral. Perfect. Okay, so Cape Coral's in the gray, Fort Myers is in that teal green color, Naples is in orange, and Bonita is in blue. So, all right, pending home sales down across the board. We're going back 5 years. Let's look at June of 2021. Did that go down? Yes, across the board. Let's go back to 2020, June. That did actually go up in 2020. That was when a lot of people were moving to Florida, Southwest Florida specifically, but lots of people were moving and we really did not slow down. But historically, again, going here, June, there's a little drop here. In May, we were over here, almost 300 in the 600s in Fort Myers and Cape Coral, and over 900, almost 1,000 in Naples, and then we dropped down. So relatively normal there. And then again, June here in 2018, we had a little drop. And then one more time in 2017, drop again right there. So year over year, this is historically kind of normal for us to be doing this, except for 1 year, which was 2020, and 5 years of data history. So pending sales are down, but yes, that's relatively normal. So now let's look at the average days on market. So here we are historically, we're up between 90, 120 days down to 60 days on market. And this goes back to 2017. Now, if we go 2019, you can see when the shift happened in the market in 2020, where our days on market just went way, way down. But here we are. This is what we want to measure. In May of 2022, actually, let's go back to April. So in April of 2022, Bonita had 10 days on market. Naples was 16, Fort Myers was 16, and Cape Coral was 15. In May, Cape Coral went up 3 days to 18. Fort Myers went down to 13 days on market. Naples stayed at 16, and Bonita went up 2 days on market from 10 to 12 days. So here we are in June. Bonita's at 15 days on market, so that's an increase of 3 days. Naples got 2 extra days on market, so now they're up to 18 days. Fort Myers is at 14 days, which is still pretty consistent, just up 1 day. And then Cape Coral is the same thing, so up from 18 days on market to 19 days on market. So nothing really drastic, especially for June, which is a month that, we see fewer pending homes anyway. So this is real data. I don't collect it. It gets collected by our system. And this is how the National Association of Realtors, this is how any place that is reporting information, this is where they're getting their information from. This is how it's measured. So next we're going to go to shows to pending. Now this marker is, we're going to go to average. This marker is how many showings does the property have before it goes to pending status? And this is all tracked again through this MLS system, which is linked with showing time. So all connected with that, not input by me, input by every realtor that has a license that works in this area. So shows to pending. So currently our shows to pending are going to be 12 for Bonita Springs Estero, 12 for Naples, really 12 across the board. So these are the showings that we have before the house goes pending. So 12 across the board. What was it last month? We were at 14 for Bonita Springs. Naples was 12, Fort Myers was 12, and Cape Coral was 13. So actually a little bit fewer shows to pending there. But what I want to do now is go to shows per listing. This is the total shows per listing here. So June, we have 5.4, Naples is 5, Fort Myers is just over 6, Cape Coral is just over 5. Now that has decreased again slightly. So what that tells me is that there are fewer buyers who are looking. So you can see back in January of 2022, we had so many buyers. I mean, we would get a listing and the sellers were exhausted. They had to be out of the house all weekend. People were in all the time, tripping over each other. I mean, you could barely walk in these open houses. And so you can see the amount of people, the amount of home purchasers has shrunk from January, where they were 13 shows per listing, in Naples 11, Fort Myers and Cape Coral were 12. It's shrunk to about half that. So think about that as your buyer pool. Your buyer pool has shrunk, we'll say, to about half of what it was, taking into consideration that June is historically a bit of a slower month for us. So what is shrinking the buyer pool? I think everybody knows it's interest rates, because when the interest rates go up, buying power goes down. So let's take a look at some of these headlines here. We have today's interest rates and refinance rates. They are, they're going up, and the Fed has raised the interest rates up pretty drastically. In June, they raised it 75 basis points, which was a pretty big jump. And so what they've done, they raised it and then they dropped them again. And so they're trying to balance out the market. But like last month, when the Fed decided that they were going to raise the interest rate 75 basis points, the person that was pre-approved at 5% now has a much higher interest rate, and they can no longer afford the home. So what does that do? That makes pending homes that were pending go active again. So here we see back on market 189. Now some of this they were withdrawn, and we can click on them and see this was a home that was withdrawn. Some of them, they're withdrawn for whatever reason, and this one, was pending, came back to the market. Well, why would a home go pending and go back to the market? In this case, it was low days on market. Could it be inspection? Could it be it was an as-is contract and the buyer gets cold feet? Maybe they were buying from elsewhere. They flew down, saw the neighborhood, thought there was a better home for them. Sure, it could be. But if you look at a home that was, say, longer days on market, if you look at a home that had longer days on market, maybe that fell through because the buyer couldn't get their financing and it was pending. The PC is pending and contingent. When you see a P there, that means that it's just pending. But when you see a PC, that means that it was pending with contingencies. Sometimes that contingency is an inspection. Sometimes that contingency is financing. So as we look through these, we can see that, they go off the market, they come on the market for whatever reason. But my question to you is, do you think the Fed knows that when they raise the interest rate 75 basis points, what the outcome could be? That there could be people that are under contract for a home that then would no longer be able to afford the home by the time that they close, by the time that maybe they didn't lock in their rate. And so now they can't close on that property. What happens to those properties? They come back on the market, therefore creating more inventory. So is this done then by design? That's my question for you. So what does this mean? Well, cash is king. Cash has always been king here in this area, in this market, in the Southwest Florida market. Cash has always been king, and I'm going to show you why. So if we go again back to our dashboard here and we do a search. So let's look at closed homes just in the month of June. So here we go. We've selected June 1st to the 30th, 2022. We're going to say okay. So now we're only looking at closed homes in the month of June. You can see in the whole Southwest Florida region, which includes Marco Island, Lehigh Acres, Fort Myers Beach, Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, Estero, Naples. Total homes closed in the month of June was 3,114. Now, if we say we're going to switch a marker and we want to know what was the financing type when these homes closed, and we're going to say cash. Look what that number goes down to. We're at 1601. So that's about 50%, maybe a little bit higher. Let's change that and let's say it can be all of these things, right? Okay. So now we're back up. Now let's go to Naples. So there's 900 total closed homes in Naples for the month of June. Let's see how many of those were cash. 560. So that's more than 50%. We're 60% cash. So 60% cash transactions. Same thing. Let's look at Bonita Springs. Bonita Springs Estero, there were 324 closed homes in the month of June. How many of those were cash? Let's take a look. 207. So out of 324 closed homes in the month of June, 207 of them were cash. So what does that tell you about our market? One, cash is king. And two, when we're thinking about potential for people to not be able to pay back their mortgages, causing an issue with our housing market, it's unlikely. When somebody's paying cash, it's unlikely. Even if they're using a hard money loan, even if it's a hard money investor that's putting up the liquid funds for that person to be able to buy the home, it's still going to be a finance transaction. In our contracts, we have to note that it is subject to financing and the type of financing. So we would know in this system that it's not going to come up as a cash transaction. So this is actual cash, liquid cash that's going from a bank account to the title company to the seller's bank account. So something to keep in mind as we're thinking about what is the health of the market here. Okay, we're going to go back to InfoSparks now, and I want to look at one more data point. This is the month's supply or months of inventory. So we're looking at Naples and Bonita. We're going to add a couple of areas like Cape Coral. We're going to add Fort Myers. There we go. Now we can see those markers. So this is month supply or months of inventory. Now you can see back in 2021, we were at 2.7 months, 2.5 months, a month and a half for Cape Coral, just over 2 months in Fort Myers. That's a year ago. Let's go back 5 years. You can see that big dip there. We were at 9.3, 7.9, 5.2, 6.5 months of inventory in January 2017. And you can trace that all the way down. Now keep these figures in mind. We were at one point in December 2021, we were at 1 month of inventory in Naples. In Bonita Springs, we were just over half a month. That's 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of inventory in Bonita Springs, Estero. Just over a month in Cape Coral and under a month in Fort Myers. Here we are currently in June, which is a slow month for us. We were just over 2 months in Naples, a month and a half in Bonita Springs, Estero, 2 months in Cape Coral, and in Fort Myers, we were 1.4 months, just over a month and a half. So keep that in mind, because what I'm going to show you next is this slide called how many months of inventory. So what exactly is a seller's market? What is a buyer's market? A seller's market is between 0 and 6 months of inventory. That's where sellers are getting leasebacks at no cost to them. This is an unhealthy seller's market. A healthy market is between 6 and 9 months of inventory. We're not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet. Is it better than it was back in December? Yes, it is. But are we at a healthy market? No, we're not. Until we're at 6 months of inventory, we are not at a healthy market. A buyer's market is 9 to 12 months plus of inventory. That's when buyers have, they get to say what they want, and sellers, where sellers are calling the shots, essentially, they're not calling the shots anymore. The buyers are calling the shots. So when we're talking about the market conditions, and when we're talking about where we are now, where we were in the past, and where we're going in the future, all we can do is look at the data. And the data says that we are still in a seller's market. Is it getting better? Yes, it is. I hope that it continues to get better so that we're balanced, so that we're back at 6 to 9 months of inventory, because really what we want when we're doing transactions is a happy transaction from buyer to seller where everybody feels like they win at the end of the day. So, all right, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, working, breathing, sleeping in Southwest Florida, including Naples, Bonita Springs, Estero, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, then you're going to want to subscribe to our channel and click the little bell so that you are the first to be notified whenever we post a new video, and you'll be the first to know about market updates in our area.